entire country. This comes on the first anniversary of the death of the charismatic President Hugo Chavez, firebrand president who succumbed to cancer. Now, with us to talk about it from London, Antonio Sampaio of the International Institute for Strategic Studies. Antonio, how do you see the current standoff in light of this anniversary date?
Oh, it's significant that it's happening almost precisely a year after Chavez died. His government, his decade or more than a decade in power, has substantially corrupted the government institutions, the economy. His anti-business stand has severely deteriorated the Venezuelan economy. And now Maduro, which has less internal support within his own party, has less charisma and less ability to maintain the several different actors of the socialist revolution united on a single ideology. He has less power to do that. Then he's less able to properly secure stability in Venezuela in view of all those economic problems of the country.
Are you surprised by these protests that are now in their fourth week?
They are significant. They are very resilient, the protesters, and I guess I am a bit surprised that they are able to maintain the numbers and the level of and the energy of protests during the carnival, which for many Latin American countries, especially in South America, it's a very significant holiday. But we have to bear in mind that Venezuela is suffering with scarcity of several food staples and even toilet paper, and the inflation rate is 56% per year. So the economic deterioration of Venezuela is very significant, and Chavez was able to maintain widespread support in Venezuela and win several elections by keeping the poor sectors of the population, which in Venezuela is a large sector, united over his narrative. But with inflation corrupting the poor people's ability to buy products, then I'm not surprised that they are protesting so severely.
And as you say, it started out as anger over inflation, over the cost of living, over scarcity of basic goods, and over crime. But you also wrote a paper, Antonio, recently in which you said there's a surfeit of guns going around, and part of the blame lies with Chavez.
Yes, the opposition movement, the escalation of the opposition's protests was caused by the economic factors, but it escalated into a political conflict in which the main factor now has been the government's fierce repression of the protests. So on one side, we have some sectors of the government supporters that have drifted away from the government control. These are the paramilitary groups that were formed and tolerated during the Chavez regime, with guns that we're not sure where they come from exactly, but we know that Chavez has bought 100,000 Russian rifles and has established factories to produce rifles in country, has armed its Bolivarian militias, which number 100,000 members or more, and we don't know what level of control these militias have or the government has over these weapons that the militias have. So there is a widespread availability of weapons, and at the same time, sectors within the government, supporters that say that they are the defenders of Chavez's legacy, that they have the right, if you will, to bear arms and defend the revolution against these opposition supporters that they call fascists and all. So the availability of weapons and the political polarization combined in a very dangerous situation.
All right, and of course, the whole region is watching this very closely. Cuba has strong ties to Venezuela. Argentina's authorities standing by Nicolas Maduro, saying that this is an attempted soft coup. What's your view on the effect it's going to have on neighbors, and most notably on your own country, Brazil?
Yeah, the region has been divided in its response. Chavez has not only Chavez, but his successor, Nicolás Maduro, they have been able to maintain strong rhetoric support from many Latin American countries, especially those that receive purchases of government debt, like Argentina. Venezuela is a strong buyer of Argentinian debt, and also cheap oil through the Petrocaribe initiative that Chavez established that benefit Cuba and other Latin American countries, Bolivia, Ecuador. So they have been very vocal in supporting Chavez. The position of Brazil is a bit more complex in the way that Brazil doesn't want to lose the influence and the leverage it has over the Venezuelan government. It doesn't want to alienate the Venezuelan government. So it is trying to have some sort of moderating influence. But of course, it's a risky position because it has been seen from some sectors as being relatively weak in its response.
Antonio Sampaio of the International Institute for Strategic Studies, many thanks for joining us from London. Stay with us. Much more to come here on France 24. We'll have the latest news update and then the day's business news. Stocks rebounding this Tuesday after that massive nosedive linked to fears over the situation in the Crimean Peninsula. And the day's sports, 100 days to go till the World Cup in Brazil. Stay with us.